Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon to my European friends. It is Monday, January the 13th, 2025. This is day 1055 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. I'm Peter Alexievich, and this is the news that we are waking up to. Now, last night, of course, we had an air alert here in town. It was a total of 110. No, wait, let me see here. It was a total of 94, I believe, that came in last night. 110. No, 110. It was over 100 last night. 78 of those were shot down. Another 31 were intercepted or repulsed with active countermeasures, which gives us a 99.1% interception rate. Yeah, just incredible. 110 drones, 109 of them shot down or taken out with electronic warfare. There was damage caused by debris in a number of regions across the area, plus the one that got through. But nobody is unalived, thank God. And any damage was slight. Now, the real story, the real news that we are waking up to is the fact that the Ukrainians finally have in their custody 2 living North Koreans. Now, for those of us paying attention, we know goddamn well there's 10,000 North Koreans fighting in Kursk against the Ukrainians. That you've got North Korean troops on European soil killing Europeans. That's what's happening here. You've got this axis of evil between Pyongyang and Moscow. Make no mistake. But those guys don't want to acknowledge it, right? They're fucking autocrats. They live in a world where whatever they say, everybody has to believe, or they're going to jail, or worse, fast. There's no room for discussion with dear leader about what reality is. And so the North Koreans and Moscow, for their part, are denying the existence of these troops. They're not there. This is nonsense that there's North Koreans fighting in Russia. Right? Why would Russia have to turn to North Korea? Russia has the greatest army in the world. Here they are, for the world to see. And not just for the world to see, but for North Korea to have to deal with. Because Zelensky is making it clear that he is happy to trade these North Koreans for his own soldiers in return. Now, how North Korea is going to respond to this when supposedly they don't have any soldiers here is going to be a very interesting political game. Or will Russia finally own up to the fact that they've bought a bunch of North Koreans and that the North Koreans don't care whether or not they get them back? That their own are murdering their fellows who are wounded in the trenches rather than leave their wounded to be captured, which may be going on. There are reports of that. Now, so Zelensky, as upfront as he generally appears to be, is saying loudly to the North Koreans, we have your people. What you going to do about it? Now, of the 2 captured North Koreans, and this is important, I think, one of them is saying he'll go back to North Korea if he has to, but he thinks he'd rather stay in Ukraine. The other one, who appears to have been a suicide attempt, his injury is here, and that's what happens if you take a rifle and you put it under your jaw and you try to pull the trigger. More often than not, you don't kill yourself. You lose the lower half of one side of your jaw. Anyway, It appears that the other one that's in custody may have a self-inflicted wound. And he is saying that he wants to return to North Korea. Now, it's entirely possible. You notice there were reports in the past of the capture of North Korean soldiery. But those reports always ended up with the soldier was badly wounded and died. Did they? Maybe they're alive and they don't want to go home. And they are proving themselves to be useful. That's not impossible either. We just don't know, right? Like, we just don't know. But these two are alive and they're talking. Now, I don't normally just throw up a headline like this, but I got to tell you, this report in the Kyiv Post is really worth reading for those who are really interested in this, because it details, right, in all likelihood now, North Korean losses are well above 3,000. Probably closer to half of all the North Koreans sent in have been killed or wounded in this fight. The South Korean intelligence is saying that the 300 were lost just over this weekend. Over this past weekend, 300 were killed outright, with thousands wounded and off the battlefield. Where they are is anybody's guess. We know that 100 or so, a couple hundred were sent to a hospital in Kursk. Where the rest are is another question. Now, this report here, this article goes on to reveal the notes and the documents found on the North Koreans, urging them to commit suicide rather than be captured. And the existence of these notes does fly in the face of the story that one of the North Korean POWs is telling. And it's a story that we've heard before, that they weren't told they were coming to Russia to fight, that they were told they were coming to Russia for training. And only after arriving in Russia were they told that they were there to fight. The existence of these documents claiming, that appear to indicate that the soldiers should commit suicide rather than be captured does fly in the face of that, although these documents may have been issued after they were in Russia. It's difficult to know. But what we have now is living evidence of North Korean involvement in the Russo-Ukrainian conflict. No troll can deny it again. They simply can't. And that's a major change. Now, the 17th, so in just a few days, today's Monday the 13th, in just a few days, the Prime Minister of Iran is supposed to travel to Russia, where he will they are supposed to sign a bilateral security agreement, a mutual defense pact, very similar to the one that North Korea signed with Russia. This could mean the near-term appearance of Iranian troops on Russian soil. That seems to be where this is going. Now, here's the thing. We're getting reports that the Iranians don't want to do it, that the Iranians are going to back out and they're not going to sign the mutual defense pact with Russia. Now, we have yet to see what's going to happen with that. But if the Iranians pull out, Iran, the people most desperate for friends on the planet, if they turn their backs on Russia at this point, I think it's going to be very telling. I mean, this is the man that fucked up everything that they spent the last 30 years building in the Middle East. Destroyed it. Their entire power base, their ability to project power is gone thanks to this fucking guy. They can't be very happy about that. I mean, I'm sure they're happy to continue to take Russia's gold, or rather Africa's gold that Russia has stolen, for the weapons that they send. But I don't know that they're ready to send their people to die for Mr. Putin the way that Kim Jong-un is. We shall see. I want to throw this in here. So Gazprom's stock price tanked the first of the year when the gas was shut off, right? Now it's recovered a little bit. It's up to $1.30 a share. That price is in rubles. And so it's right now, it's holding steady at about $1.30 a share. This is down from, oh gosh, if we go back, this chart only goes till March. But if we go back 5 years to the beginning of the conflict, the stock price was about 3 times that. So the stock has lost 2/3 of its value and continues to decline. It's not quite at its 25-year low, but it's very close. Oh, and of course, there are billions of dollars in the hole already, and we haven't seen the Q4 numbers for 2024. Now, Bobby mentioned to me, my buddy Bobby in San Diego mentioned to me that there's a new sanctions package and that I should do something on the sanctions package. And you're right, Bobby, I should. But for right now, let's do this. Let's look at the effects of the new sanctions package. Because what those little blue arrows are that you see in the ocean there, and where this is just off the coast of China. And what you're looking at there are 3 Russian oil tankers in the China Sea that can't dock. They can't go into port. They're being rejected, and their commodity is being rejected because of the new sanctions package. That's a thing of beauty. And it's not just the Chinese that are refusing the delivery of Russian oil because of the sanctions package. It's the Indians too. Now, India and China are the two of them together. I shouldn't say that. Because really, if you look at the line of sales to China, oil sales to China, it hasn't changed that much during this crisis. The Chinese continue to buy about the same amount of oil that they always have from the Russians. It's the Indians who have been buying up so much more. The Indians and earlier the Brazilians, but that trade has stopped pretty much. So taking India off the table, India essentially replaced all of Russia's oil sales to Europe. India basically replaced all of Russia's oil sales to Europe. You take India off the table, those oil sales go away. Now look, the sale of refined oil products and crude oil from Russia, the volume of income is down by 45% from pre-war levels. So Russia is taking it on the chin, and another $5 billion just went up in smoke when the Ukrainians shut down the pipeline transit of natural gas through Ukraine. So things are not looking good for the Russians. Now, this is probably my favorite. If Clay Fry's watching this, Clay, this is just for you, pal, because you're going to love this. So the Russians released video. That's where this still is taken from. It's taken from a Russian drone right before it crashes into that surface-to-air missile system. Now, the only thing is, so the Russians released this video a couple days ago, and it really flew under the radar because it appeared to be just the Russians blowing up another Ukrainian surface-to-air missile system. Until some of the guys that are into weapons did an analysis of the Russian video and discovered that the unidentified SAM system there, in all likelihood, is a North Korean Tor SAM system. It's a North Korean surface-to-air missile system that likely the North Koreans brought with them to protect their own people, and the Russians blew it up because they didn't know what it was. Now, maybe the SAM guys were to blame, right? They got it too close to the front without telling anybody where it was or whatever. But it goes to the point that there is a communication problem in the Russian army. These kinds of friendly fire incidents happen all too frequently. Russia, as desperate as it is for air defense, may have requested these units from the North Koreans and got them, and now they're down at least one. At least one. Oh, brother. Anyway, so I think that's it for me today. That's the news that we are waking up to for Monday, the 13th of January, 2025. I'm Peter Alexievich, and I'll see you in the live at 5 tonight. We got a lot to talk about from stuff that happened over the weekend. So hang out with me tonight, and I'll be doing some short